Cole goes in 3 for Australia.
I'm really excited about this book that I've written called Felix and His Fantastic Friends. The idea actually came about when I was in a jungle for a reality television show, and I was speaking to one of my competitors in there and told her about that I had a son, and he was only 5 weeks old at that time, but I knew that he was going to go to school one day, and I was scared that kids that he went to school with were going to point out that his mum was a little bit different in the fact that I had a disability. And over time, I began to think that maybe that necessarily wasn't something to be too scared about, but something that he should be actually really proud about, particularly what I've been able to achieve in the Paralympic space. So I really wanted to turn that message of being different into something really positive. And so I decided to write a book. The setting is actually in a playground, and every character in this book has a different type of disability. And a lot of the characters were actually inspired by people that I met across my time being a Paralympian. What I've noticed being a Paralympian in particular is that the message of the Paralympics resonates really positively with kids, and it's changing an entire way that a generation is looking towards people with disabilities. So I thought, why not write a book that speaks to the next generation of kids, and alongside the Paralympic movement, teaches a lot of positivity around disability. So that's what inspired me to write the book, and I'm really proud of it. I had a lot of experiences when I was young, even growing up with a disability, where other children would point out my differences to their parents, and the reaction would always be quite negative. The wonderful thing I've seen about the Paralympic movement is that it has encouraged conversations between parents and their children. They ask questions about everything, and it's really, really important that that curiosity is met with positive reinforcement. And so if a child is asking their parent about disability, it's really important to make that interaction really positive by teaching kids to embrace and celebrate those differences. Explaining what the difference is, or if you don't know, maybe just saying, I'm not sure, but let's read up on that when we get home. Oftentimes I do have parents approach me when I'm out of the shopping centre and just say, look, my child is really interested about your prosthetic. Do you mind just showing him or her how it works? And I love those interactions because it's so different to the type of interactions that I grew up with when I was younger. And they are so positive. And once that child learns about my prosthetic, they move on to the next thing. In 5 minutes, they're on the swings or they're on the slide, and they're not really thinking twice about it. But I know that next time they see an amputee or someone that uses a prosthetic, they're just going to know. And that's the most amazing and incredible thing, is that person is going to grow up for the rest of their life with more and more information about disability than anybody from my generation has. And it's super exciting. I planned for my retirement for years and years before I actually came to that point of retiring. But it's quite interesting because you don't really understand the gravity of retirement until it's hit you. It's an exciting time, but it's also very scary and overwhelming because your whole life changes. All of the people that you relied on when you're an athlete are no longer, you don't see them every day anymore. And so it was really important to be able to have a different outlet for me. I was very, very fortunate. I already kind of had some work lined up with Channel 9, who ended up broadcasting the Olympics and the Paralympic Games for Paris. And so I really started working in that space. For me, in the back end of my career, my focus really was on educating the world about the Paralympics and how amazing and incredibly powerful and strong and determined Paralympians are. And I didn't need to win gold medals to be able to do that. And so a lot of my focus really became on being an advocate for Paralympians. And the wonderful thing is, in retirement, I can still do that.